All right, now that we have a field or a column here in our detailed report that shows what shipper name was used to ship these particular orders, another piece of our customer detail that we might want to add to this page would be the list of shippers that are available to be used for this particular customer. If they have specified that we only want you to use these particular shippers. Because if you're in the shipping department and it's time to send these guys an order, you need to know which shipping companies you're allowed to use. So we're going to add another section here at the bottom for available shipping companies, and we're going to make use of the Crosslink table that we created between customers and shippers in order to do that. So let's head back over to Dreamweaver, and here's our customer detail document, and we're going to create ourselves another section, and we're going to call it available shipping companies. And since this is a section header, we can grab the text, go in, change the format to be a heading. Well, heading 1 is too big. Let's make it 2. How about a 3? So there's 3. So it's bold without being too big. Guess we could have done that here too. Let's do that for consistency. Make that a heading 3. And we can actually, even though this is dynamic text, we can still take that dynamic text and make it be a heading 3 as well. Nothing that stops us from doing that. Alrighty. So now, under our available shipping companies, if we go back and look at our shipper data, our structure, actually browse will be fine, we can see that the only pieces of information we have for the shippers is their ID, their name, and their phone number. So we do have multiple pieces, so we can display it in a table just like we have for the other things. So we'll do that just like we did up here. We'll create our table, insert table. When we're setting up a dynamic table, we just need 2 rows. In this case, we need 3 columns for the ID, the name, and the phone number. Border thickness, spacing, we do want a top header, so that all looks okay. We'll click OK. There's our table. Let's create our column headers. Shipper ID. This will be the shipper name. And the last part will be the phone number. Alright, so those are the 3 pieces of information we have. We'll want to fill this in with dynamic text, and so we're going to need a record set. Okay, so to create the record set for this, since we're going to have to use the crosslink table and an inner join to make sure that we only get the shippers that belong to this particular customer, we're going to have to use the advanced dialog, the advanced version of the record set creation, in order to set this up. So one of the things we're going to need to know for that is we're going to need to know the name of our variable for our that we're passing in on our URL, and we can see that up here at the top, our dynamic text from our URL, customer ID, and if we click on that, we can see that the PHP code for getting that customer ID is $_get customer ID. So while I have that highlighted, I'm going to press Control C to copy it. So I'll have that in the copy buffer in the clipboard so that I can use that at the time when I need to create my variable. Alright, so now let's go back to where we need to be. Let's go to our server behaviors. We want to create a record set. Okay, we're in the advanced view of our record set since that's the last one we used. And we're going to call this record set available shippers. The name of the record set doesn't have to match the name of a table. It can describe whatever you want. Okay, so since we have our variable, our PHP code for accessing our variable in the copy buffer, we're going to go ahead and set up a variable first. So I click the plus. Let's call our variable customer ID. Our variable is text. For our default value, we can put one of our customers in, so we'll go ahead and use alpha. But then the runtime value for our variable, that's where we're going to paste, and we're going to use this $_get customer ID because we want to get that, use that value that's been passed in on the URL for the page. So that gives us our variable now that we can use in our SQL statement for selecting just what we want. Okay, so now let's build up our SQL statement, and we'll use our database items tool down here at the bottom a little bit to kind of show off what it does. And we know the fields that we want to display come from the shippers table. So let's go through, and we want to display the shipper ID. So we're going to add that to the select statement. We want to do the company name. So we'll add that to the select. And we want to display the phone number. So we'll add that to the select. So nice thing with this tool, it goes ahead and adds all the prefixes for us, which is handy because this is going to be a multi-table select statement that we have to do. Okay, and then now we know, so that we only get the shippers that we want, we know we also need to involve the Crosslink table for customers and shippers. So we're going to take the customer ID from here, we're going to add it to the select statement. Now we're not going to display it, but we had to add it to the select part so that then this where button would be available, and we can click on it and add it to the where statement. And now what we want to do here in the where statement is we are going to make it be equal to this variable name we created, customer ID. And you know, now that I look at this customer ID variable might conflict with the use of customer ID in other places. So let's back up. Let's edit this. Let's change its name to, I don't know, let's call it customer parameter. Okay, now we can put customer parameter there. So now from our crosslink table, we're only going to pick the crosslink records that apply to our customer parameter, and our customer parameter comes from the customer ID passed in our URL, or this default value, which will help us test here in a minute. And then now we want to join the Crosslink table to the shippers. So this is where we want to say we want to take shipper ID, add it to the where clause, and we want the Crosslink shipper ID to be equal to the shipper's shipper ID. So now we have a custom select statement that's going to pull in shippers, shipper ID, company name, the phone, the Crosslink customer ID, which we won't display, but we'll leave it in the SQL statement so that we see we're getting the right customer. We're referencing two tables, and we've got the where statement set up to pull just the customers that match our customer parameter and just the shippers that match the shipper ID in the Crosslink table. So let's hit test, and sure enough, we see for our default value of alpha, we see that the only two shippers available are Speedy Express and DHL, shippers 1 and 5, the two that we created when we set up the Crosslink table. So we can say OK, we can say OK on this, and now process you should be very used to by now. Let's do dynamic text. So dynamic text, we want to go to the available shippers record set. We want the shipper ID. We always use HTML and code if we have no reason for anything else. Shipper name, dynamic text. Now we want the company name, HTML and code, OK. And then the phone number, dynamic text, phone, HTML and code, OK. So let's go ahead and save this. Make sure we get at least that one row of data displaying OK. Go to our page, refresh. Hey, we see we got our headings that we did, headings, and our table has one row of data, Speedy Express. Now we just need to do our repeat region in order to get all the rows. So again, we're going to make the attempt. Let's see if Dreamweaver will cooperate this time, where we want just the row with the dynamic text in it. We're going to highlight that and then do repeat region. We want that to repeat on the available shippers. We want to do all the records, and we do OK. And then we see Dreamweaver went crazy on us again and wrapped the repeat region around the entire table. So we'll do the manual edit again. Grab the first line of the do loop and Control X to cut it out. We'll go down to before the row that starts the dynamic text part and paste it in, and then scroll down and we will grab the end of the while loop, do Control X to cut that out, go back up to the end of the table, go back to the beginning and paste that in. So now our repeat region just has, let's see, let's go to the code only view. There's our repeat region, and you can see it just has the one row of the table that has all our dynamic text in it. So only the dynamic text will be repeated and not the entire table, including the headers. So let's save that. File, save. Go back to our page, refresh, and now we can see both shipper IDs are there. Okay, now remember in our Crosslink table, we set up two other customers, BOTTM and Wolsa. So let's go back to our customer list. Here's BOTTM at the bottom dollar markets. So we'll click on them. They have a lot of orders. Now you can see all their shipper name on their orders. And then now at the bottom, available shipping companies, we can see that we got 1, 3, and 4, Speedy, Federal, and Freightway, just like what we set up in the Crosslink table. And then if we go back, let's skip to the last page. Here's Wolsa. We can click on them, scroll down, and we see that Wolsa has 1, 2, and 3 available, just like this. So we can see that we have only the ones listed in the Crosslink. Now, because we did inner joins on that Crosslink table, for any customer that does not have something in the Crosslink table, like for instance this Around the Horn company, if we click on them and scroll down, we can see that there are no available shipping companies listed because we didn't create any records for them in the Crosslink table joining their customer ID to particular shipper IDs. So it's not going to create an error message or anything like that. It's just not going to display any data in the table. Okay, but that Crosslink table like that is a table that would either have to be completely updated after you add it to the system, or it would have to be something that gets maintained from the very beginning, adding records to it as you add records to the system itself.